Hello there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the Railway, and I hope you're ready for another instalment of Model Railway news, this time for July of course. Now this one is going to be quite product heavy because there have been absolutely loads of new product announcements and product developments which are now available to see, so those of you who like to learn about the new products that are going to be coming pretty soon should enjoy this one, or at least that's the hope. So to start with, as I often do, I'm going to talk a little bit about Hornby. First and foremost, their Engine Shed blog, which you should check out by the way, I'll put a link in the description because that's where they put all of their updates and things for new products. So first of all, you can see many new developments on there, including these LSWR Warner 20 and 24 ton brake vans. I believe these are the latest samples for those and they are looking fantastic. As we know, Hornby are capable of producing great brake vans. I don't know if my brake van review has gone up yet. I did one of the Toad Bs. I'll have to double check. But yeah, superb brake vans. So if those are anything like the Toad Bs were, they should definitely be worth watching. Also, we have some actual photos this time of the upcoming Coca-Cola Christmas train sets. You can see the logo and the rolling stock for those, which is looking fantastic. I believe that's the first time we've actually seen photos of those in the flesh and not just renders, of course. So they're looking very good and I am looking forward to those actually. I do love a good Christmas train set. Also, Hornby are showing off a couple of their Class 43 HSTs in the latest ScotRail and GWR liveries, which do look fantastic, and there's more to talk about with the HSTs in just a second because they have got some brand new ones in stock, the LNER ones of course, but I'll get to that in just a second. Also, something not normally associated with Hornby is N-Gauge. However, we have got some N-Gauge on the engine shed, which might surprise you. So Hornby did this a couple of months ago with Riverossi, showing off their big boy. They've basically started to include some of Hornby's other brands in the engine shed as well. So this time not Riverossi, but Arnold, with this fantastic looking N-Gauge Brighton bell. Now, looking at these photos, you're hardly able to tell that this is actually N-Gauge. The level of detail looks so incredibly good. It looks like it's at least 00 gauge, if not much larger than that. So yeah, kudos to Hornby and Arnold for that. Normally, I'm not massively interested in N-Gauge, but it is products like that that make you wonder what it would be like to try some N-Gauge. Yeah, looks really, really impressive, that. Now, this is nearly always the case with Hornby, but it's true again this time, so there are many new products in stock since the last Model Railway news video. So, quite interestingly was the very popular Flying Scotsman model, which has returned to the range, this time in very much its original guise from 1923. Looks really, really impressive and quite old-fashioned actually in this particular guise. So I love that very, very much. Again, so tempting, isn't it, just to go out and buy that one. Looks really, really good. Quite excitingly as well, I suppose, is a couple of new H-Class variants in the range. We've got this BR Black one, which is very, very smart, but not my personal favourite. My personal favourite is this one, the SECR Green, and I've got one here, which is the same livery, but a different running number. I think the one that Hornby have just brought into stock is is based on the Bluebell Railways H-Class, isn't it, which is very, very impressive. Now, you'll notice if you look on Hornby's website that this is quite a lot cheaper than the other H-Classes. I think it's about 30 quid cheaper. However, it is exclusive to the Hornby Collectors Club, so unless you're part of the Collectors Club, you won't be able to buy that, which is a little bit sneaky, I suppose, because Hornby must know how popular the SECR Green H-Classes are. However, it's not really that much more. I don't know exactly how much it is to join the Collectors Club, but it's not a lot different from 30 quid. So really, you could probably justify joining just for 1 year so that you can get the H-Class, and I'm sure that's exactly what Hornby had in mind as well. But yeah, they are superb models, so obviously if you want to pick one up, that's the way you'd have to go about it. A little bit of a pain that, but at least Hornby have produced some more, even if you do have to jump through a hoop or two in order to get one. But no, very lovely models, as you probably know. Also, on the Hornby front, they posted a photo to their Twitter page showing the new HST, which I've already briefly mentioned. This time the LNER version, which looks very, very impressive, doesn't it, in that lovely LNER guise, which is now in stock. So again, if that's something you were waiting for, it's now ready. Okay, what else was it? Well, of course, the new analog train controller has come out since the last month, and if you want to check out my review of this, I went into quite a lot of detail, not only reviewing this, of course, but also talking about other controllers available on the market. I'll put a link up there if you want to check that out. I think it's worth looking at. It's quite interesting, also quite disappointing, but obviously, if you want to hear all about that, this isn't the time. Just check out the review if that's something you're interested in. Just scrolling through the Engine Shed blog then, and scrolling through Hornby's website, you can see how much news there has been from Hornby this past month. In fact, there's far too much for me to cram into this video, so if you'd like to get your head around everything that Hornby has introduced this month, do check out the Engine Shed blog and also check out their website, of course, because there is an awful lot to see. Moving on from Hornby then to Heljan, from which there have been some quite exciting announcements and some quite serious progress on some of their models. First of all, they have announced the production of a brand new Class 47, which of course is perfect for anybody trying to model between the sort of 70s and 90s, I think it is. Now, it's an awful lot of liveries also produced with these, the usual array really. Not an awful lot to see yet, although there are some CADs available. However, you must note that these CADs are for the O gauge version. The double O gauge version is obviously going to be slightly different. However, my particular Class 47 is this one, as you can see. Now, there's nothing wrong with this at all. It's a very good quality model and it runs very nicely, but it is very, very old and the detail on it is very, very low. So it's certainly high time we saw a decent new Class 47 enter the market, and Heljan probably are just the right people to do that, hopefully. So mine is in desperate need of replacement, and I know a lot of others will probably feel the same. So it will be very interesting to see a brand new 47 on the market, which will hopefully take Class 47s in double O gauge to all new levels of detail, which of course would be very grand indeed. Another upcoming model from Heljan that I don't think I've ever talked about is their upcoming Class 25, which is currently in production, I believe. Now, they have announced, well, they've released some photos of the latest engineering samples, as you can see here. These were made available by Hattons, of course. And again, the Class 25s that I own are quite a lot older. This is one of them, for example. This is the old Hornby one. And even in their unpainted state, the upcoming Heljan ones do look as though they're going to be a considerable improvement on these Hornby Class 25s, as well they ought to be. And yeah, it's quite interesting that, because there are quite a lot of Class 25s already on the market. There's this one, for example, which I've never really showed before. This is a Backman Class 25, which is a decent model. It's a sight newer than the Hornby ones. However, it is still pretty dated. I don't think it has any lights or anything like that. So a super, super modern and super detailed Class 25, or RAT as they're also known, of course, due to their ubiquity, will be a big benefit to the marketplace, I think, in model railways. So really looking forward to seeing that. And obviously, if those samples, those engineering samples, are anything to go by, the new model should be very impressive indeed. And I am seriously thinking of getting one, because I do quite like them. It's one of the first diesels I ever bought, and so for that I've got a bit of a soft spot for them, really. There is also some news from Backman this month, but not Backman branch line as you might expect, actually Backman USA, because they have announced some brand new additions to their Thomas & Friends range, which I know a lot of you will be quite excited about. So in the HO gauge, or double O gauge, it doesn't really matter, does it, either way, they have announced a brand new Daisy model, the first DMU to enter the Thomas & Friends range by Backman. Now, there is very, very little information about Daisy at the moment. Even the price has not yet been announced. However, it is due to be released in 2020, and if that's true, it's not an awful long time to wait, is it? Also, Backman have announced for N-gauge, or, well, it's not really N-gauge, I think it's still HO scale, but it's designed for an N-gauge track, is the Peter Sam model as well, which is quite relevant to me. Well, one of its names is the same as mine, so I guess that makes sense. And also some more rolling stock as well, all of which is due in 2020. Again, check out Backman's 2019 catalogue if you want to find out a little bit more about those. So next up, I want to talk a bit about a model that you might be familiar with. It's been with us for a few years. It is, of course, this. It's the Oxford Rail Dean Goods locomotive. Now, you might be wondering, why on earth does he want to mention that? Well, that's because a brand new version of this has just been released by Oxford Rail, and it's in the shops now. It is, of course, the same engine, same tooling, I believe, but it's in the khaki livery, the ROD khaki livery from, well, wartime, really. And as you can see, it completely transforms the look of the loco. In fact, it looks almost completely different in that livery, doesn't it? Really quite impressive, that. In fact, it looks so different to the original Oxford Rail Dean Goods in Great Western Green that I've decided I'm going to get one as well. However, as you know, I'm holding out for the combi pack with the, well, the Dean Goods and the Bosch Buster railgun. I really can't wait for that. And the fact that the khaki Dean Goods has now been released means that maybe they'll be getting close to releasing that pack. Fingers crossed, because I can't wait to get one and review it. However, the loco, as you can see here, is now in stock, and I thought you might be interested to know that. A little bit of an update from Dapol as well for you, because their brand new 121 bubble cars are now in stock, as you can see here, and most of them are priced very reasonably, I would say. Some of them just over £100 there in some cases, which doesn't seem a lot for a brand new bubble car, which is fantastic. The other thing, of course, which really catches your eye with those, especially when you scroll through the list like this, is just the sheer number of different liveries available. It's astonishing how many different versions they've made of this, which is obviously great news. So again, if you want to check those out, there's links in the description, and they are now in stock, which is very good news. So last month, in last month's Model Railway News video, for the first time I talked about the brand new KR Models GT3 gas turbine, which is due to be released, and that did spark a lot of interest. There has been some news on that. I mean, next month it's supposed to be going into the tooling stage, which is quite exciting. That's the first major stage, isn't it? However, KR Models on their Facebook page have released some new CAD images of the of the design, really, to show how it's coming along. And you can see the latest CAD images here do show quite a lot more detail than the previous ones did, which is pretty good. It is developing, as you can see. More interestingly than that, though, they have showed a CAD of the mechanism as well, which shows this vastly complicated, or what seems to be a vastly complicated array of gears, whereby every axle on the model, or at least every driven axle on the model, has a gear on it to be individually driven. Now, there's quite a lot of feedback from that CAD on the sort of Facebook comments and things, where people were concerned, basically, and rightly so, given DJ models, of the complexity of that. Are all those gears going to cause more friction? Are they more likely to fail over time? Blah, blah, blah. And quite reassuringly, KR Models, the next day I think it was, responded with another CAD image of the mechanism, showing that now only one of those axles is going to be driven by the gears, and the coupling rods are going to be doing most of the work, as of course they would in real life. So that's very reassuring. It's a little bit simpler. It should save them a little bit of money, having not to put quite so many gears into the model, and it should make the thing run a little bit quieter and a little bit more smoothly. And of course, probably more crucially, a bit more realistically, those coupling rods will actually be being used, which is quite important, I think. So I suppose it's important to say that those CADs are not forced to be complete yet. It seems as though they're going through revisions and going through changes and things. Whether or not they are complete, I don't know yet, but keep an eye on their Facebook page if you're interested, and I'm sure you will see the updates as they become available. Next up, a little bit of a first from me, a company I don't think I've talked about before in these Model Railway News videos, and the company is Gaugemaster. Now, they've announced a brand new set of track cleaning wagons, not only for 00 gauge, although yes, 00 gauge, but also for N gauge as well. Now, they're about £30, which is obviously quite a lot for a track cleaning wagon, but it's a lot cheaper than the Dapol track cleaning wagon that I've got. However, it doesn't look as though they're going to be mechanical, if that makes sense. It doesn't look as though they're going to be motorised, which of course the Dapol one was. So whether or not it is just a case of, you know, the old-fashioned design of just the sort of cleaning pad on the bottom of the wagon, which cleans the tracks as it goes, it may be as simple as that, or it may be a bit more involved. At the moment, the photos don't make it absolutely clear. However, for 30 quid, it might be worth a try. So let me know, does that seem worth the money? Will you be trying one? I'll put up a poll just there. Sounds interesting. I might have to get one to review, but details, not too sure yet. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, so last month I created quite a panic by announcing that the cotton buds would be going off the market, blah, blah, blah. Now that was sort of for entertainment purposes, although of course it is true that the plastic-based cotton buds will be no more, given a couple of more months, I think it is. However, there are paper ones available, and lots of people have let me know this in the comments. There are paper ones, and in fact I didn't realise it, but I'd been unwittingly using the paper-based ones for quite a while, in fact, and I didn't notice the difference. They're not quite as strong as the old ones, they're a bit easier to bend, but they do the trick just fine. So if I panicked you last month by announcing that no more cotton buds would be available, I do apologise, I'm sorry you fell for it. To be honest, I didn't realise that the paper ones were so readily available, but they are, and they are fine, so don't worry, and I apologise for panicking you. Finally then, just a little bit of a heads up for some of the more major exhibitions and train fairs which are going to be taking place between this video and the next Model Railway News video. I must say there's an awful lot happening over the summer months, it seems. There's so many, so if you want to find out about the exhibitions and train fairs which might be happening in your local area, I would urge you to look it up and find out. However, if you're interested in the more major ones, I've got some of the highlights that are going to be coming up. So the next one is Saturday the 20th, so not too long to wait, which was the Llangollen, I attempted to pronounce it anyway, toy and train sale at the Llangollen Pavilion. I apologise for the horrible pronunciation. Please don't be offended, that's not the idea. So that's Saturday the 20th. Sunday the 21st, we have the Wimborne Toy and Train Fair at Queen Elizabeth's Leisure Centre Sports Hall, so that looks quite a big one as well. Saturday the 27th, this is still July by the way, we have the Bridport and District Model Railway Society 2019 Summer Exhibition, which again, if you want more details, do feel free to look that up. Also happening on Saturday the 27th to Sunday the 28th is Rail-X North East 2019 at the Blythe and Tyne Model Railway Society, which should be good. Also, we have, let's see here, the J&J Fairs Limited Toy and Train Collectors Fair at Brentwood Leisure Centre. I didn't quite get the date for that one, so I'll put that there. There we go. Bit of sneaky editing there. Apologies for that. And then into August, there's quite a big one happening in August on Sunday the 11th of August. That is the Bulldog Fairs Toy and Train Collectors Fair at the Westport Arena. 250 stalls due to be arriving there, so that is going to be a pretty major train fair, I'd say. In fact, I'd love to go and see it. For now though, I think that is basically all I've got to say. I wasn't kidding, was I? There are an awful lot of new products on the way and an awful lot of new products that have been released, so it's all very exciting. Hope you enjoyed hearing about all of those. Of course, if I've missed something crucial that you think I ought not to have done, do let me know down in the comments. And of course, if you are a manufacturer or an event organiser and you'd like a quick shout out on one of these videos, also do get in touch and I can certainly do that for you. Right, well, I think that's basically it. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great week and I will see you on Saturday with another video. Alright, cheers everybody. Take care of yourselves.